In the spring of 1914, as Europe teetered on the brink of war, another conflict was unfolding in the calm waters of Vancouver's Burrard Inlet. The SS Komagata Maru, a Japanese steamship chartered by a Sikh businessman named Gurdit Singh, arrived carrying 376 passengers, 340 Sikhs, 24 Muslims and 12 Hindus, all British subjects from Punjab, India, seeking new opportunities in Canada. The journey began with hope. These travelers understood they had rights as citizens of the British Empire to settle in any British territory. Many were former soldiers who had served in the British Indian Army. They had sold possessions, borrowed money, and left behind families to make this journey across the Pacific. What they didn't fully understand was the extent of Canada's determination to remain a white man's country. Although technically British subjects had the right to move throughout the empire, Canada had implemented a series of increasingly restrictive immigration policies designed specifically to prevent Asian immigration. The most insidious of these was the Continuous Journey Regulation of 1908, which required immigrants to arrive in Canada via a direct journey from their country of origin. Canadian officials had ensured this was nearly impossible for Indians by pressuring steamship companies not to sell direct tickets from India to Canada. Gurdit Singh, a successful businessman, saw both the injustice of this situation and an opportunity. He chartered the Komagata Maru specifically to challenge these discriminatory regulations, loading it with passengers in Hong Kong and Shanghai before making the Trans-Pacific crossing. When the ship arrived in Vancouver on May 23, 1914, immigration officials refused to allow passengers to disembark. Only 20 returning residents and the ship's doctor were permitted to come ashore. The remaining passengers were forced to remain aboard the vessel, anchored in the harbor but isolated from the shore. For the next 2 months, the passengers endured deteriorating conditions aboard the crowded ship. Food and water supplies dwindled. Meanwhile, on shore, the local South Asian community mobilized, raising money for provisions and legal assistance. They formed the Shore Committee, led by Hussein Rahim and others, which hired lawyers to challenge the detention in court. The atmosphere in Vancouver was tense. Local newspapers stoked fears with racist headlines. Immigration officials, led by Malcolm Reed, were determined to enforce the exclusionary policies. While some Canadians expressed sympathy for the stranded passengers, many others demanded their deportation. The legal battle went all the way to the British Columbia Court of Appeal, but ultimately the passengers lost their case. The Canadian government ordered the ship to depart. When the captain refused, claiming the passengers might mutiny, the government decided to force the issue. On July 19, 1914, nearly 2 months after the ship's arrival, the Canadian government sent the naval cruiser HMCS Rainbow to force the Komagata Maru out of the harbor. 200 armed police officers also attempted to board the ship but were repelled by passengers defending themselves with coal, bricks and other improvised weapons. Finally, on July 23, with limited supplies and under threat of naval artillery, the Komagata Maru departed Vancouver, carrying almost all its original passengers back across the Pacific. The ship's journey, however, would end in further tragedy. Upon returning to Calcutta, now Kolkata, on September 26, 1914, British colonial authorities, suspicious that the passengers had been influenced by the Ghadar movement, a revolutionary group seeking Indian independence, attempted to arrest Gurdit Singh and other leaders. In the ensuing conflict at Budge Budge, police opened fire, killing 19 passengers and arresting many others. Gurdit Singh escaped and lived as a fugitive until 1922 when he surrendered under Gandhi's influence. The Komagata Maru incident stands as a powerful symbol of the struggle against racism and exclusionary immigration policies. It represented not just a legal challenge but a human one, a test of whether Canada's proclaimed values of freedom and equality extended to all people regardless of race or origin. For decades, this painful chapter remained largely forgotten in mainstream Canadian history. However, in recent years, there has been growing recognition of its significance. In 2016, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau formally apologized in Parliament for the incident, acknowledging it as a historic injustice. Today, the story of the Komagata Maru serves as both a reminder of a painful past and a touchstone for conversations about immigration, belonging, and the ongoing work of building truly inclusive societies.